We don't need any more laws that criminalize being negligent.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, why we ever got away from that and started getting away from criminal intent in the first place. I mean,
but that's not to say it's not possible to have CPS involved.
Fair.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Or have some civil administrative penalties.
And there's a lot. I've had a lot of juvenile cases where I said to myself, boy, it would be great if they would dismiss this case and let CPS take over. Unfortunately, CPS does not have the resources, and they would do everything in their ability to say, not our problem, not our problem. Because every kid they take in, especially kids with severe mental health issues, like kids who get arrested, severe emotional, behavioral, violent outbursts, those kids are really expensive. Really expensive.
But don't you also set it up for the potential? And by the way, if you want to call in, ladies and gentlemen, 713-807-1794 is the number. We've reached about 8:30 now, so feel free to call in for your questions for Julio, myself, and our guest, Gene Wu. But don't you set up kind of the argument with what you're talking about in terms of punishing the parents under certain circumstances, that it becomes a socioeconomic or almost a racial issue? Because think about it. I mean, you know, what set of parents are likely to get punished in that situation?
And I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head.
Yeah. I mean, the memorial parents whose kids get found with weed in their backpacks, they're not going down.
Look, I mean,
right?
go talk to an old cop. Go talk to an old cop, and I guarantee you they'll tell you a story of, back in my days, when we caught a kid with pot, we would just go, you know, and the pot was gone, and we would call their parents, and they'd go home and get their ass whooped. You know what? I mean, like, I'm sure that still happens in nice, affluent neighborhoods, but I guarantee you it doesn't happen in the hood.
No.
You know, it doesn't happen in my district.
No.
You know, I wish it did, because there's a lot of those kids that have enough problems. They don't need to be hauled into court for having a little bit of weed.
Right, but it's not happening. I mean, that's the reality. And so you set up for another socioeconomic war by implementing penalties on parents.
And so sort of like, instead of the stick, what we say, we can't use a stick, we should use a carrot, right? And what a lot of what we're proposing is like, look, if a kid gets in trouble, what we need to do is figure out why. Why is that kid in trouble? You know, for everything from just behavioral problems where they need therapy to there's some kids who are misbehaving because they've suffered pretty severe trauma. I have had cases where, look, they're reacting this way because they've been sexually abused. Mm-hmm. And no one has provided them any therapy, any counseling at all. And it's just an open wound for them. And you say, like, we need to find out what's happening to these kids. Some kids are just acting out because they're bored. And it's like,
some kids are just a-holes. I mean, the reality is, I mean,
but they're a-holes
back
for a reason.
Well, I don't know.
No,
I disagree with you a little bit. I think you can draw a distinction between being bad and being an a-hole.
Yeah, I mean,
some people just have that innate, like,
well,
you're a jerk. I mean, look, I consider myself...
Meet their parents. I bet you their parents are jerks too.
Probably, but I mean, it probably does have something to do with it, but I've met enough kids, both in, you know, when I was growing up and by virtue of having a kid in school myself, that they have completely great parents. Yeah. And their kid's a jerk.
But you know what?
Like why is he punching people? His parents are so nice and he's sitting there punching people.
Because it's a teenager.
These are elementary school kids.
No, I mean, it doesn't matter. Sometimes
that's what I'm saying.
Different kids react different ways. I mean, like a lot of times, sometimes kids are just kids. I mean, why do teenagers do stupid things? Because they're stupid.
Right.
And they don't realize they're stupid until they get older. And you know, how many things have you done that when you look back when you're like 25 or 30, you look back and go,
totally.
Whoa, did I do that?
Fifth.
Yeah.
I mean,
but it's like that. But you know, you and I and all of us, we grew up in a world where our parents protected us from those consequences. Man, I did my share of stupid stuff. Even being like the nerdy Asian kid, you know, I did my share of the stupid stuff. My parents protected me and kept me from the consequences. But what if you didn't? Right?
No, I agree.
But I think kids should be allowed to grow up, be allowed to make those mistakes and learn, like every other human being on this planet, how to cope with being a teenager, and then...
Completely agree. I mean, I think you take that same personality of a kid and depending on the area of town they grow up in, I mean, they can have that same personality. And, you know, if they come from the poor side of town, I mean, it's just, it's going to exacerbate that, you know.
Yeah. And, that so,
characteristic.
And when we work on issues like raise the age, like raising the juvenile jurisdiction age 18, I get a lot of like legislators who say like, well, they know better. Like, they may know better, but they can't connect the knowing better with controlling their actions. So like if you have anyone who's ever dealt with a teenager or has a teenager at home, you go ask them, hey, why'd you do that?
Yeah.
What's their answer going to be?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why'd you eat Tide Pods? I don't know.
So I mean, like,
we got idiots eating detergent today, you know.
And but the answer literally is true. They literally do not know because the teenage brain, even though they look like an adult, sometimes they sound like adults. Their brain has not developed to the point where they can connect those two things of, hey, this has bad consequences and this is my action. They can connect them if you say, hey, can you connect those two things up? They can do it.
Right.
But at the moment that they're doing it, they're not thinking about it.